So welcome to another exploration into consciousness with the Nouveau. Thanks, girls, for being here. And today we're going to start off with Jen. Jen is running a course in spring now coming. She's putting something together, which is called KUJI. And she's going to give us much more information about that, what the course is going to be all about, what you're going to offer, what you require. And then also, how we can get in touch with you in order to get onto it.
Yeah, thank you, Martina. So I took a class at the end of 2022 for KUJI. But as I continued to practice it and study it, the documents that I used as my reference material called it KUJI, but I think you can use those pretty interchangeably. But it's a mantra practice. So there are 9 mantras with accompanying mudras, and the mantras are Sanskrit. And they start, from the lower chakras, how they're associated, and as you go up in level of the series, they rise with your chakras. And the mantra practice, if anybody's familiar with a mala, I didn't grab one, but I can in just a minute. But malas have 108 beads on them, and so as you go through each round of saying the mantra, you say it 108 times, and each mantra gets said in 9 rounds, so 9 rounds of 108. And then there are 9 mantras to be said over time. So it's something that takes, it took me 6 months to make my first round around the whole 9 mantras. It really inspired me, and it helped me clear a lot of things, particularly the lower chakras. RINS was the hardest one for me to trudge through personally. It brought up a lot of old stuff that I had to clear. But the more that I did it and the more that I practiced, I could sit still for longer periods of time. I could hold my frequency for longer periods of time. The more of the old stuff that I shed, the more higher frequency I was able to hold, and the less apt I was to drop back in. And my personal journey has involved a lot of speaking up for myself and finding my voice. And in fact, when I was born with the umbilical cord wrapped around my neck 3 times. So like that's really been a prominent feature of my spiritual journey, is finding my voice. And the mantra practice really helped me do that, because for an hour at least every day I would be saying these mantras, and the more I could project my voice out, the more I was emanating that energy. So the process of learning KUJI and working with the energy of it and living the practice of it really helped me shift at a time that I had a lot of things going on. My cat has found her voice. Also, like that period of time that I was working with, it was when a lot of my psychic skills were coming online, and that can be really jarring, trying to live life in the outside hologram and be seeing all these different things. And it gave me a structure to it that helped me navigate that and still stay in my calm. And so I really loved that practice. In fact, like I've started back over it. I'm on my second tour through the practice. And as I've been working on developing some courses that I've been teaching, this was one that came to the surface that I really wanted to teach. When I learned it, it was a 3-hour online course, but it left some gaps for me on how to understand what the practice is, and just to have some nudges for discipline to keep it up. And so I'm going to structure mine a little bit differently. I'm going to do the first course at 2 hours, and then I'm going to do 1 hour each Saturday, just focusing on the one mantra, and then give people a week to do their rounds of it, or 2 weeks to come into the next one and record them also, because schedules are tight these days. And people can download them and watch them later if they're not able to join at exactly the right time. Plus, I've had some interest from people in different locations, and making them available by recording is helpful for working with time zones. So,
yeah, absolutely. Do we have any questions here?
Just looking forward and wanting to sign up.
How many weeks do you intend the class to be?
I'm sorry?
How many weeks do you intend the class to be? Is it like 6 weeks?
9. So there'll be the introductory, the 2-hour overview, and then we'll have 9 classes thereafter, to like 1 class for each of the mantras. And I'll show you, I pulled up a graphic of the mudras that accompany them that I thought I would share with everybody as well. And so we start, like you see, I would hold my mala as I was going through the 108, saying the mantra 108 times per round. And then I would do 9 rounds of that in one sitting. And then after I would do that, I would hold the, I would hold the mudra, and then I would tone it. I don't know if a lot of people practice the art of toning, but it's really powerful to me. And, if we go back to some of the teachings that AB had given us, making yourself a signature frequency match to what you're desiring or what you're looking for, is how you bring that to you. And so I do that for myself through toning. And so I would hold the mudra and then I would tone it. But I'll go through all of that in the class. But you can see the mudras that you work through that correspond with each of the 9 mantras.
Okay, so we got 9 weeks or 10, because 9 mantras plus the introduction, right? Why am I in there?
Stop.
Stop
Jen
share.
just needs to stop share. Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't like that. So 9 weeks plus 1, that's the introduction. So we need our hands. We all got hands. That's good. What else do we need? Do we need some beads? Did you say?
Amala, yeah.
What is that?
Amala is, you see a lot of people that practice Tibetan arts that wear them, but they're a string of 108 beads with usually a tassel on it. And so count through the mala.
Okay. But I suppose if we don't have one of those, we all have like necklaces or something we can use as well, right?
I used a rosary until I got a mala, because I have Catholic upbringing. I have several rosaries.
Okay. And any what sort of timing have you got in mind?
I'm going to have, my intent is to have the introductory class either on the 15th or the 22nd of March. I'm waiting for my conference room to get confirmed.
Okay, because you're doing this in person as well. So you're going to have people there as well, and you're going to record it, and then everyone gets the recording and everyone can listen. So if you're not available on that day, you can listen to the recording afterwards. Okay, good.
There'll be a live Zoom with the in-person classes, and then I'm going to record those and upload them so that you can watch it later.
Okay, cool. And do you want to share your details now, so that we know where to sign up? And then I can put it into the recording afterwards as well.
Yeah, you can find me online at multimodalholistics.com, and I will have the registration link under my shop artwork page, and I'll send Martina a link to that. You can also find me on Facebook at Multimodal Holistics, and you can send me a message through there.
Okay, cool. Good. Oh, thanks, Tanya. Yeah. Okay. Well, I grab it from there then. Okay, fantastic. Good. Okay. So this is exciting. So tell us a little bit, any more questions on that for anyone?
Well, I have a question. So when
Yeah.
you're doing Sanskrit mantras, are you also giving the accurate translation of what you're saying?
The way that I set mine up was, I pulled everything out of the KUJI guidebook or handbook. and they'll give sometimes 2 or 3 translations to the mantra. And I typed all of them out on a notes file on my phone so that I always had everything readily in one place because I travel a lot. But I was sitting down to prepare for my session. I would read the mantra in the Sanskrit form, and then I would also read the translations, and I would feel into the energy of how that felt in my body for that day. Sometimes I resonated with all of them. Sometimes I resonated with one. And that's really what I would hold the energy around me. And then I personally will sit and I'll put myself in a fire. So I'll have fire crackling around me as I read the mantra, because that keeps the energy around me very purified and protected. And I would hold my energy at whatever chakra corresponded with that mantra.
Right.
Yeah. Cool. Now, since we've got you on the spot here today, Jennifer, do you want to tell us a little bit about your healing center? How is it going? Because you've got a healing center. Talk us through a little bit what's going on there.
Well, I do, and I'm like, everything evolves. So one of the things that I knew was going to be important to me was to open a healing center or community center. And I have a business partner that had the same vision. And so we collaborated to create what we call Learn, Heal, Grow. And we opened that center last year. And the intent was to create a space for community to gather, for people to hear words that would help them in their ascension and in their awakening, and have a safe place, a comfortable place to explore that. And then also for practitioners that were trying to start their business, to have a facility where they could practice for a relatively low cost and get started. As things evolve, however, though, in the last couple of weeks, and speaking to my business partner, the revenue potential of the place that we have is somewhat limited because of the space that we have is limited. And for that to be meaningful for somebody's income, it makes sense for her to ground that and for me to grow outside of that and move on to what's next for me. And so I'm kind of in that migration for myself where I'm getting ready to sign a lease for a new space that will give me more of an opportunity to have bigger classes and to have more outreach with my community. And so the healing center will stay, but I'm going to use my energy more for growing whatever comes next that's next on my list.
Well, that sounds very much like manifesting generator, isn't it? It's a bit of a trial run, see how it works. Okay, cool. Let's expand that now. I love it.
I'll be announcing soon. While I was in the desert, I got my next leased space lined up. And so I'll be announcing that soon.
Absolutely love that. What do we call that? Absolutely not attachment to the outcome. Beautiful art creation, reading the energies, listening to the energies that are coming in and just doing whatever it takes. Choose, choose, choose. Amazing. Well done. Love it.
Thank you.
Love it. What are the learnings for you?
Yes.
That.
The last few years have been nothing but change and learning new things constantly. So, but you learn to embrace it and just ride the wave, right? And find the fun and the beauty in all of it.
And look at what gets created on the way whilst you're doing that. How beautiful. I like that. Amazing. And I think that's exactly what I'm feeling at the moment again and again. It's like, it's so beautiful to talk about those philosophies and spirituality and all these galactic things. And then a question is, what's happening on the ground, right? How are we going to implement all of that action taking and really manifesting something with that information? And somebody else who wouldn't have done all the work that you have done, Jen, would have probably not be sitting here smiling, but distraught, depressed, pissed off, you know, everything that just happened. Oh my God, it's not happening and not the way I thought it's gonna be. And you just totally outcreated it. That's amazing. Love it. Thanks for that. Thanks for sharing that.
Thank you. We were
Good.
talking. Was somebody else going to say something?
Oh.
Right before we started recording, we were talking about Bowen therapy, and I hadn't heard of that. And what's next, right? Like that's always my question: is what's next? Because once I learn something and I have it in my tool set, like I'm always on the quest for what's next. And there's another modality that the friend that I was traveling with this last week, that she took several years ago, and it's really kind of faded into the background, but it was the most profound modality that she had ever had practiced on her, or that she had practiced herself. It's called HEART. It's an acronym. And so the lady who owns it, or owns the rights to it, has kind of retired into South America. And so while we were down there, she reached out because she would really like to resurrect it. And she really feels like we have a calling to teach that together. And so the lady who owns that has put the manual on Amazon for whoever wants to use it. Because why should we hold anything back from being out there in the ethers? And so I'm going to explore that a lot too. But I love being on a lifelong quest for what's next. And so that just plays right into it.
Beautiful. So what is you said the acronym is HEART?
Mm-hmm.
What is it? What does it stand for?
Give me just a second to pull it up and I'll tell you.
Or is it physical? Is it like a combo?
It is a combination of doing like muscle testing and essential oils on the body. So the body basically will cue you for what it needs and where. But I'll find the details and I'll share it with you.
Yeah. Okay, interesting.
Could you say heart or harp?
HEART, HEART. It's an acronym. Let me find it.
So this, not this.
No.
I think, you know, and I love that because, do you know, and I think I said that yesterday in talking to Isa, I have this very strong sense again, having done the inner journey, and it's become an emanation now. It's an ongoing thing. It's like coming back into the outer journey now and really starting to participate, you know? And we've always done that, you know, and the thing is that the digital sort of participation is sometimes, it's great, but it turns into a bit of a distraction at times, you know, because it gives you that dopamine, it gives you that high. It's like, yeah, whoa. And then it's like, okay, so what now? You know, that kind of thing. So I really love you're certainly a forerunner here of going out there and finding the people, or not even looking for the people, because the people are finding you, right? And it's not even just people. It's really going out there, and like, this is what Tanya is so good at, you know, speaking to the trees, speaking to nature, and allowing the environment to participate with everything that you're doing, you know? So I think this is what, and this is why this is such an exciting thing, because the more you understand the bigger connection, the bigger picture, the more you start grounding back into that physicality and really start enjoying the humanness of everything, you know? Absolutely. Good. So thanks for that, Jen. So we're going to put the details in, and then wishing you all the best, and we'll see who's going to sign up. I might be doing it. A bit shocking, so long, but maybe that's why I have to do it. So yes, don't shake your head, Sandrine. Okay. I'm in. I'm booking.
the length deters me a little bit too, but when I really think about it, it's about creating consistency with it. And I think having 1 hour meetings to focus on the particular chakra and to create a habit would be a good thing. So like initially I was like, oh my God, 9 meetings. But then when I thought about it, it's going to be good. It'll really solidify it in your brain.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's gonna, yeah, it's the devotion to ourselves, right? Because that's purely for ourselves, to making ourselves into the best version that we can truly be, so that we can then service and contribute to the others. Fantastic. So,
Well, and 9, 2025 is a 9 year, so
well
it's a
spotted.
good time to come into that, practice of a fuller alignment, a fuller groundedness, a completion, a deeper knowingness.
Fabulous. Yeah, well spotted there. Yeah.
I used to think discipline as a word was restrictive, and I didn't like, I felt like the energy of that was really 3D. But the more that I've done my work, discipline to me gets me in a practice. And once I'm in a practice, I really enjoy it, and it becomes part of what I look forward to in a day. And that's one thing that I really love about KUJI was that, it requires discipline to sit there and allocate that time to just being in your own energy and working through the process of expanding your energy. So that's what the practice feels like to me, is a really welcomed way of applying discipline into my life in a way that made it better.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've started looking at it from it's an anchoring. It's part of the self-love that we talk about for me. And it's an anchoring of myself, and I'm being, it's like a fortification. I love the word fortification of myself, where I just work. And that's why I love this, because you work with your hands and you use your voice. So using, everything. Not everything, but yes, because the vibration, the frequency that you're creating through your voice and your mudra will then impact on the physicality and the rest, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, beautiful.
Jen, can I just ask a question? You may have said this already, and I probably missed it if you did. Do you know what day of the week it's going to be on, and have you any idea what time?
Saturdays are my preferred days for it, just because of my general schedule. So they'll be on Saturdays. And I was looking at having them at 11 a.m. Eastern time, because that's my time zone. And it's generally friendly with most everybody else's time zones as well, without being too early or too late.
Okay. Okay.
But
That's
again,
probably the
like she
reason.
said, she's pre-recording it, so you can tap in
Yeah,
anytime.
I did hear saying that. So if you pre-record it, then people can just join it themselves at a time that suits themselves and just follow it. Yeah. That's fine. Thank you, Jen.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're gonna send it out
Yeah,
an email.
I would like to. Sorry, I thought you were asking me, was I going to do it, Martina?
Oh, no,
Sorry.
I wouldn't pin you down right now.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah. So I suppose you're gonna send it out an email or something. You're gonna do
Yeah.
email, or you're gonna do a Facebook group or something. Not that we are complicating things at the moment, but
I'll do a Facebook post about it to advertise it. And of course, I'll have it on my website. And then for the people that sign up, yes, I'll have an email group, and I probably will make a Facebook group for it.
okay, cool. Fantastic.
That way people love to share, right, what their experiences are. Not everybody's where we are. And so I want to give people an opportunity to share.
Great, thank you. So this is a great reminder what Earth Nouveau is all about. So use the opportunity if you put something on, if you want to share. Not that we have too many followers at this stage, but that it could be just one follower. It could be just one person that sees it, that spreads everything. So, great opportunity. So that's going to go out. Fantastic. What
Thank you.
else have we got? What's pressing?
Well, I think that, talking about the mudras, talking about, connecting into your chakra system, giving yourself an opening, giving yourself a practice. I think it's all good. We've all been healers and are healers in our own way, certainly. But it feels like right now it's more time to sort of like use the philosophy of teaching the person to fish, right?
Mhm.
Instead of giving them a fish, right? Where it's not necessarily not about the personal clearing work that we can facilitate for people, but helping them understand how to do that for themselves and giving them that learning, that understanding of what is the energy field, what are the chakras, how do they function within that multidimensional awareness, right? Which we're all like versed in, but it seems like it's becoming more time to really go into this sort of like teaching and coaching realm as opposed to a specific healing realm. At least that's what I'm feeling for myself.
Absolutely. And I think, it's also because of the clientele, if you want to call it that, that you are resonating with and that you are attracting. The more work you've been doing, the more aligned you become, you're starting to attract a different frequency that actually doesn't want you to do the work for them anymore, because they're fully aware that actually just give me the tools and tell me how to do it, maybe, or work with me or inspire me to do it, and then I want to do it my own way. Because I think this is coming through a lot now, that we all have to do it our own way, because that's where the uniqueness, that's where the beauty, and that's where the strength comes through, when you start becoming that best version of yourself.
Well, and as we've all seen in the last few years, certainly, and it's been sort of a trend, is this greater and greater individualization, right? Where each of us are bringing all of these parts and pieces back together of ourselves and coming into more of our own unique voice. I was having a conversation with a couple of people the other day, and we're talking about just like why things are so different now than they were after like World War II, right? And so you have this, you're talking about generations, like the baby boomer generation, who after these people started coming back from the war, you had the state, the United States supporting these sort of like suburban communities, and everybody has their own house and have a family and the white picket fence and the dog, and the man goes to work and the mother raises the kids. It's almost like this sort of pre-programmed cookie cutter in the box thinking and behavior. And so as those baby boomers started to be born, like look at where they were in the mid 60s, just coming into their teenage years and going through this like sexual revolution and drug revolution where music was different and the sound was different. The way the kids wanted to live was different from where their parents wanted to live. So that sort of split of individualization started happening, way back then, and then like seeded all of us to be even more individual on a much wider scale. I mean, I remember like arguments with my mom about what she thought a woman should be, right? And it wasn't what I thought I should be. So, and as I've gone on my journey, I see that more and more and more with generations younger than I am, where they're very wearing very different clothes. One of the things I notice is like when these younger generations, the Gen Z and the millennials, they come in to see me and they lay on the massage table, and 9 times out of 10, they're wearing 2 different socks, right? I mean, I don't wear 2 different socks. That wasn't the way I individually express myself, but that always makes me laugh because I can see that there's just this different way of thinking about self-presentation, right? How we're putting ourselves together. I just find it very interesting, to see this sort of trend of the individual versus the group. And now, like Jen is saying, it seems like we're swinging back into the importance of community, right? Where everyone has their individual voice, they come together to each have their own, I don't know, like role in the community and awareness of being still the individual and having your voice, but then how do you benefit the community and how can we all work together in that way?
Yeah, like the unividual, the universal individual, the coming together. But speaking of, this morning I went to the PET scan, and arriving at the subscription desk where I needed to present myself, the lady looked at me and asked me my date of birth, and she said, "Oh, you just have to fill out question number 3, because question number 1 and 2 were about if I was pregnant and if I was, giving, how you call breastfeeding." And then I took this paper with me, and then I waited to be called up to go to the scan. And the nurse at the scan, she was younger than the nurse at the entry, and she was like looking at the questionnaire, and she's like, "Are you pregnant? Are you breastfeeding?" No.
Well, how's she supposed to
She
know?
did her job, she was like, without judgment, anything, although I have gray hair and all that, but she was like passing judgment on anything. She filled out the questionnaire correctly. And I was like, this is also a generational thing, in a sense, because the older nurse was already like, okay, she's 50 this year, she doesn't breastfeed and she's not pregnant.
Yeah, but you see, they're so presumptuous.
I know, but right, but this is a generational thing. It is
Exactly.
absolutely.
Do you know, talking about generations, I just today I was going through, I think it was Instagram, and they were talking about these generations. I don't know, this X and Z, but you were just saying Gen Z, right? Gen Z. And it was like, who goes, the boomers go to work, they get all dressed up in their suit and, ready to go. And then obviously it deteriorates slightly. And then the Gen Z or Z, they're just lying in their bed, and looking maybe at the computer or not. And I'm like, oh, I'm a Gen Z then, because, so you can actually apply that really, because it's funny. Because there is no linearity to that, because how many of us have actually now, left that boomer or, that excitement for going out and doing the 9 to 6, the 5 to 6 job, and things like that. And then, of course, I had to ask the question, Gen Z, what, are we going to start with Gen A again? Or how's it going to work after that?
They did.
Alien.
Yeah, they did. I think now the kids born this year are Gen Beta.
Beta.
Really?
Where does that come from? Well,
Well, I think they went back to Alpha after Gen Z.
must be in alphabet. So ABC, it's starting again. Okay, interesting. That's not very creative, is it?
Right.
How can we create that?
So yeah, it says, okay, the silent generation, those are the people born between 1901 and 1927. I'm sorry, that's the greatest generation. Greatest. The silent generation is between 1928 and 1945. The boomers are between 46 and 1964. Gen X is 1965 to 1980. Millennials are 81 to 96. Gen Z is 95 to 2010. Now it's not showing me the other ones, but I think it was Gen by year, different generations. Let's see if we can find that. The GI, let's see. Oh yeah. So then after Gen Z, it's generation alpha and then generation beta. So the betas are being born now. Generation alpha is 2010 to 2024, and now 2025 to 2039 is Gen beta.
Fantastic. We'll just create as many categories as possible.
We can be whatever we want, right? Because we're all timeless individuals and we've all incarnated in different space-time continuums anyway, which are way before that or way after
before the LGBTQ plus minus whatever, you know, symbol and right.
Yeah. Well, and also, you know, look at all I mean, so like what do we call Akhenaten's generation?
Yes.
You know, or Queen Elizabeth I, right? I mean, you can go through history and there's a name for all of those periods of time. But
Victoria got her own, so
you know, we're incarnating in so many periods of time in the now moment that, so what do we call that? The multi-dimensional generation? I don't know.
Galactic
The
right.
multi-dimensional time generation who slipstreams through the space-time continuum.
Yeah, this is where we got to go back to human, right? Just be human, just be galactic human if you want to. But I like the individual expression, Sandrine. It's so lovely. And that's also the soul's journey, if you think about it, isn't it? Coming from the soul consciousness, group soul consciousness, going on to the individual journey, and then getting into that individual journey, because it's just group consciousness again, but it's no longer that merging like it used to be in Lemuria, you know, where we all like in a hive mind sort of thing. Everyone is thinking for themselves and contributing to the group soul consciousness on a completely different level. Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. Without competition, without hierarchy, without just pure contribution.
And just to add on the philosophy behind this individualism that is being put together by Tim Freak, his latest work that he has been working on for the last 8 years, he's finally coming to a conclusion in the sense of that it will probably be launched by the end of March. So he put together his newest book, which is not going to be a physical book, but it's going to be a pod book. So he's recording it, he's putting it out in 2 chapters, which will be distilled like 15 minutes, 20 minutes max, so that people can grasp the philosophy behind it, the thinking, and putting it together. And that is how he's going to launch it. What later there will also probably be a physical book coming out, but for now it's more like this. He wants to put it out in this new format, open format, so it allows for him, because that is what he showed over his whole career actually, that he himself can be wrong and that he can, you know, evolve, you know, and pointing that particularly out in his philosophies is really great. How we keep on evolving and coming to a most emergent level, on and on and on and on. So that's very interesting, and we're all very proud of him that finally it's going to come out.
Well, it is. I mean, it is a trial and error, isn't it?
Yes.
And that's the journey, you know, that's that journey about creation. There is no
Mhm.
judgment in that one or bias in that one. And lots of people like the piecemeal. They like
Yes.
chunks, you know. So I've just started reading Rick Ravine, his book. Of course, I can't remember. Something about art and the way of being, and it's obviously a bestseller, you know. And this guy is a very famous music producer, but not just music, but film, and you know, and even art, anything about art. And beautifully written, you know, and just chapters are maybe 2 pages, 2.5 pages, sentences are like 5 words, you know, and things like that. And lots of people just love that. I've seen so many reviews now, they absolutely love it. It's been bestseller for so long. Because some people do like that. And then some people do not like that. So, you know, and that's why we need so many people. They have to write their own style, you know. And at the end of the day, we're all saying the same, but in different words. And it's not even just the words that are being used, it's actually, you know, the length, you know, of the sentences, the layout of the book, and all of that, you know. So it's quite interesting, you know. There was also something I was reading the other day. It's like we're actually not creating anything. I'm like, yeah, makes sense, because it's already there. All we're doing is we're just seeing it,
Remodeling.
feeling it, feeling it, you know, hearing it, and then we're just going to bring it in, you know. So, and that can be useful if we have this, like, oh, what can I create today? And again, when we're asking these questions, I'm a big fan of asking questions, but not from a place of, you know, oh, I should have done this already, but more from a place of, you know, creating more awareness. And that's what questions do. They just open up a different level of awareness, a more expanded level of awareness. Because we're asking them from a place of curiosity, from a place of joy, from a place of push, you know, how can we get inspired and, you know, do stuff differently?
Yeah. Today, for example, I just wrote about the 1,000 words on 2 primordial deities that are having a discussion in the 21st century about, you know, who came first. So it was really interesting.
Yeah,
I had a lot of fun writing that, honestly.
exactly. Yeah. Those are those ideas that, you know, floating in the clouds. And then it's a question, I don't know who said it, was it Prince or something? Whoever gets the idea and brings it down is the first one. You got to be fast to take them down because they're fleeting, right? Somebody else gets them. And
Well,
that's
and there's so many stories throughout history of people coming up with, you know, similar or almost exactly the same ideas at the same time.
yes, absolutely.
That is something that in the co-creative process, I actually noticed that with the person that I'm writing this book is, so we haven't spoken for a couple of days, or the last 3 or 4 days. But then suddenly today, when we talked about things, we were just completely, you know, she was like, oh, I looked at this and this. And I'm like, yeah, I also looked at that. And without, although she gave it her twist on it and I gave it my twist on it, it was actually in the same line of, there is something that we need to do in that particular scene. Although, I mean, the book has already over 50 chapters, you know, small ones, but just, you know, these different places where, or scenes, when you're going to call them, not just chapters, that are taking place. So it was really funny how to see that in the co-creative process, how you also aligned in, you know, where you think that, oh, I think that is actually what needs a little bit more work, and not completely, oh, I was at the beginning and you are at the end. No, it was like, oh, we both felt at that moment in the whole revision, oh yeah, there is something that we need to work on. And that's kind of interesting to see that, although we are physically completely apart. I mean, she sits in the US and I sit here in Luxembourg. So, and I find that very interesting to continuously work on this.
We'll keep that in mind, as, you know, it's the book telling you guys.
Oh
You
yeah,
are,
how it wants to be written. Yeah.
it's the book basically, you know, stepping into both of your psyche, saying, hey, guys, let's both focus on that. Yeah. I have to, yeah, I saw that with, when, you know, it's very quickly, you know. For me, it's almost like as soon, okay, because I start off with a title. I always have the title of the book first before I start writing. That may or may not change dramatically. And from that moment onwards, it's already telling me, okay, this is what we're going to do. So you just sit back, get your pen. I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. Well, it's not a channeling of any kind, which would be even, that would be lovely. I would love that. It wasn't that for me, that's for sure. But there is this, as soon as you start drawing something in, you start creating, or actualizing is actually a better word, actualizing something, it has its own energy, it has its own consciousness, and it starts getting with you.
This is like how most of the scenes, I just also said that I don't need to have a plot plan or anything. It's just like we continue the discussion, and then I see the scene in front of me and I just start writing it out. If we ever keep, 5 words of that scene, fine. If we are going to keep 500 words of them, even better, but just so that I just feel the intuitive process of me writing is wonderful, because it just really literally flows out of me.
Amazing.
And especially with the dialogue, I'm there are parts that I'm not good at, which I leave to the other person. And that's more like the romantic elements of that, because I'm like, okay, whatever. Do they really need to kiss now? Can we just move on? Can we move on with the demons? This is more important. But yeah, so okay, there needs to be a romantic element in there as well, right? So yeah, and I'm like, okay, you're responsible for that one.
Fabulous. Outsourcing. I love it. Outsourcing.
So I'll tell a story about my trip that I just took.
Yeah.
If you like. So I have a client and a friend of mine, the lady that I was telling you about, heart, that she was very passionate about heart. She has a house in El Paso. She had moved up here from Texas, and she hadn't sold her house. And so we were talking a couple months ago about wanting to go to the Tucson Gem and Mineral Show, and she's like, well, I've always wanted to go to that. I said, well, me too. And she's like, well, why don't we just plan a trip? We can start out at my house and get my car, and we'll just take a driving tour, which is exactly what I love. I love like the no plan vacation, where you kind of have an idea of a few places that you want to go, but you just get in a car and you go see whatever comes to you that day, right? So I flew out last Tuesday, and my first night there, we went and had dinner with a friend of mine in Las Cruces. She had moved from Tennessee to Las Cruces, New Mexico, about this time last year, and that turned out to be like 20 minutes from Tracy's house. So I got to have dinner with my old friend Jen. And then after that, we left and we went to a town called Truth or Consequences, which, I don't know, to be in the middle of the desert, I love that the town's name is Truth or Consequences. But the reason we went there is they have hot springs. And whereas like there's hot springs, North Carolina, not far from me, that they have like these half cabins with a plastic tub that they pipe the water up to. In Truth or Consequences, they're stone tubs built from the stone that came out of the land when they were developing it. And instead of them being kind of private, they're all on a veranda, but they overlook the Rio Grande, where there's Marissa's been there. So they overlook the river, and it's just gorgeous. And we got there about 8:00 at night, so it was pitch black, right? And we were the week of the new moon. It was actually the night of the new moon. And so we go there, and they have like twinkle lights that are projected out onto the trees on the other side of the river and the brush next to the veranda. But the sky was so clear because there's like nothing overhead. And the sky was so amazingly clear. So we're just in this like natural spring hot tub and enjoying the ambiance. And I mean, y'all know that I love to chase astronomy. And so like I pay attention to when we're going to have meteor showers and astronomical events and stuff like that. And I didn't think there was anything that was supposed to be taking place last week. But I'm sitting in the tub looking up at the sky, and I probably counted about 20 shooting stars. And they're just everywhere. And so I'm loving that. And then all of a sudden there's one that is so big. I hinted at this. I sent Lana a picture of the hot tub, but I hadn't gotten to tell her the story yet. But there's like a fireball. Like, it's bigger than any shooting star I've ever seen. It was this fireball, and it was orange and yellow and red, and it just like arched right over our heads, right over like the tree line across the river from us. And for a second I thought I made it up, because like that isn't a shooting star, right? But then the people in the tub next to us were like, oh my God, did you see that? So I'm like, well, I didn't make it up then. And within a couple minutes, a military helicopter starts chasing after it. And so I looked it up to see what
came out of it.
Yeah, I looked up to see if there was a meteor shower that was supposed to be taking place, and the next one isn't until May. So I think I was seeing the drones and the orbs that people have been talking about all over the place, and I think they went chasing after one of those orbs. It was big. It was very big and very colorful. But I don't know. I expect the magic everywhere I go anymore, because not out of disrespect to it, but just because, once you connect with the magic, it follows you. And so I wasn't surprised at all to see all that, but I thought that was very, that was the 5D meets 3D in one moment. So that was really an interesting experience. The hot tubs there are absolutely amazing. The energy is incredible at that place. And after that, we went up.
Jen,
Yes,
not to butt in your conversation here, but I think there was a meteor shower this week. I did see a notice that I got about a meteor shower here sometime, and I do believe that it was this week.
Tell me if you can find what the name of it was, because I looked and I couldn't find one.
Okay, I'll look it up and I'll see if I find it. I mean, I could be wrong. It might be this coming week, but I did see some notice and I was surprised that there was supposed to be a meteor shower. I wasn't expecting one either. So it might have been that what you saw, but I'll double check and I'll let you know.
Yeah, if
Sorry.
you can find it, no. But after that, we went up to Tucson and went to the Gem and Mineral Show for a couple days, and that's where I got the inspiration to call for the next place that I was going to be renting, because their conference room fits like 40 people instead of 6 at the Healing Center. And the Gem and Mineral Show doesn't start until 10. So like, like the no plan, right? So you just look up and say like, places of interest here. And I found this Catholic retreat center that had petroglyphs on the site, and they let people from the public come and look at it. And so we decided to go there, and we got out there, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure there's a labyrinth here. So I went and saw the petroglyphs, and they were really beautiful. I posted some pictures of those. But then there was this maze that was like the Stations of the Cross. And so like you walk up and you can just feel the reverence, because all of these are memorials to people who have donated to the land. And then so we got back down and we decided to look and find the labyrinth, and we did find one. It was a little bit further up from where we had stopped, but the labyrinth there was really, really beautiful. And just every place that we stopped at was even more interesting and had more information to pick up from it. And as we continued to like hop around on our tour around the desert, we stopped at 2 caves. One was completely dry and dead, and the other one was very wet and alive and vibrant. So it was interesting to see that contrast. And one of the last stops that we made was in a place called Patagonia, Arizona. And we weren't going to stay the night there. We were going to go back up to, I think it was Sierra Madre. But we stopped and had lunch, and we went to a couple shops, and we decided we liked it so much that we checked in at the inn that was there. And as we were unloading our bags to bring them into the hotel, we heard live music. And so we got our stuff in the room, and then we went and searched the live music. And we sat back and just watching like this community come together. There were probably 2 or 3 other people that were from out of town. Everybody else was a local there. And to watch them interact, they were all ages. Everybody was so relaxed and comfortable with each other, and they had so much character to them. that like my friend, I could read her mind sitting there. She was writing a book about these people and like making up stories for who they were and what they do and what brought them here. This young couple brought their daughter down. She was probably 2 years old, and she had a little soccer ball. And I don't know, we were all sitting out there for maybe a couple hours. And this little girl, she never cried. She never wanted to get picked up. She never fussed. All she wanted to do was roll her soccer ball to everybody that was there and wait and see who would kick it back. And we don't see a whole lot of that anymore because people keep their children very sheltered. But to her, every stranger was a friend that would play ball with her. And it was really, special to watch how open and happy she was and how she just wanted to interact with all the people that were there. And the music was great too, but just to feel that sense of community, they're completely separate in a different dimension and time, waiting for what we are trying to create as we outcreate what is behind us. Like they're that next step forward. I really loved sitting there in Patagonia, Arizona. But in any case, I had a great tour through the desert.
You know,
Amazing.
I'm just wondering what you created there, watching that little girl throw the ball to everyone, telling us about the meteor shower before that came in a ball of red and yellow and orange, right? Because for me it felt like you brought that energy from that whatever that meteor meant, brought it in, and then that girl was symbolizing it, giving it to everyone by playing with it. Beautiful. And you're right, isn't it? Because nowadays the kids don't talk to anyone and just stay close and don't bother anyone. It's such a different way of. This is the one thing I remember when I got back to the UK in 2001. Emma was 2 years old, and we didn't dare taking her to any. I mean, South Africa is so different. You just take them in their pajamas, they just run around, and then you take them home and throw them into the bed right away. And here it's like, I remember going to this, I don't know, it's just a pub, wasn't it? No, it wasn't a pub. It was something, where we could eat locally. And the looks that we got, why are you having a 2-year-old, and why is she saying what she's saying, and why is she making a noise, and and why does she want to get off the table and back onto the, so absolutely there's so much such a different energy, cultural differences. Amazing. Oh, thanks for sharing that. I really like that little girl. I just saw when you talked about the ball, I was like, oh no, it's the meteor, it's the ball. I can see it. I can see it. Everything started itching. That's why I had to start itching my head. It's like, oh yes, what did she do? You're orchestrating, all that. God knows what you created there already. Amazing. Have your dreams changed?
Not noticeably. I did dream in like extra vivid colors for a couple days that I was out there. Like the content wasn't any more definitive, but the colors were brighter.
Beautiful. Beautiful. You're such a perfect example to show that you can do both. You can be totally grounded, working in this. What, you're a bloody engineer, aren't you? Being an engineer, right? Working totally feet on the ground, and then the next thing she's, shooting around meteor balls, and it's just amazing. Love it. And this is what we need. This is what we all need to do. You know what I mean?
Well, this link that I found, it says there's no active meteor showers per se, but we might see an errant Earth grazer from the Centaurus complex shooting northward. And better yet, a bright fireball may light up the sky. February is the start of the evening fireball season, when an
Well
abundance of fireballs seem to occur as seen from the northern hemisphere, and it lasts into April.
I love
It was
There
a
you go.
fireball.
I mean,
You
I think you saw something different than that, but I mean, the fact that they're
felt
saying fireballs do exist and you might see them. So
fantastic. Thank you for checking on that. Yeah.
that
Oh,
fireball felt really playful, like it knew it was being chased, and it was like playing a game with the helicopter. It had a very playful.
It was.
Well,
it was
apparently
an
there was a
ascended master
fireball.
flying across the sky in their blueprint, their vehicle of light.
What I was going to say is apparently there was a fireball that appeared in the skies over Maryland recently. So, but I do believe that there was a minor meteor shower, because I remember seeing the link to it. They had sent me a link, and I didn't open it up, but I was thinking when I saw it, like, there is a meteor shower? That is surprising. So now that you're talking about it, I kind of remember that.
And also let's remember, I mean, look, the capacities that we have, you know, Jen sitting in that hot tub and being absolutely blissful, you know, with co-creating with her mates and all the other people. You just fucking created a meteor shower. They didn't realize that you were gonna be there, right?
There was one shooting star, not the fireball, but one shooting star that flew like forward and then turned and went that way. So that also was not a shooting star, obviously.
Yeah.
They don't make 90-degree turns.
And you felt it, and that I think that's what it all comes down to. It doesn't matter if anyone has seen it or not, you know, or heard about it or not. You felt it.
Mm-hmm.
So here we go, and that's really what it all comes down to. That kind of acknowledgement of trust.
Maybe it was space garbage just coming through the atmosphere, burning up. And that's what you saw.
Okay.
Anything could be possible,
Absolutely.
because there's a lot of space garbage out there.
Yeah, my dad actually on his stargazing app, he has also the thing on where you can see the satellites. So sometimes when he puts it on, he's like, what are all these moving things again? I'm like, it's a satellite. And he's like, have you seen how many there are? And I'm like, yeah, it's pretty disgusting, isn't it, right?
You know, I found this the other day. I went to a charity shop, as I do, and it's got all like little notes in there, and it's called A Little Jar of Big Ideas.
Oh,
So why don't we
open one.
have a little look-see, and I will choose one, and we'll do one for our group, right? Do we have any particular colors, girls? Which color do you want? We've got orange, green, blue, yellow, and purple.
Orange.
Orange. I was about to say orange.
Yep. The others are sleeping, so we're going to go for
Yes.
orange, because that's obviously connected to our creative center as well, right? La, 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 la. So what does it say? Okay, a river cuts through a rock, not because of its power, but its persistence. Jen, that's, you know, you should use that for your marketing of your 9-week, 10-week course that
There you go. It's for you. You have to put that on your pin. You have to put that one on your fridge next to the 4 hours.
because of its persistence. I'm super fucking persistent. Come on, people, don't give me shit here.
Yeah, she's been painting for like what, 3 months now? No.
Sure, you know, I've got about 200 pieces already. I'm just very fast.
Yes, you are.
Well, I think doing 9 mantras for the chakra system 108 times through the mala, if that's not consistency and persistence, I don't know what is.
I don't know what it is.
Well,
That's true.
it's not just going through the mala 108 times. It's
9 times.
thousands and thousands of times you have to repeat the same mantra. So it's not what you think you are thinking. It's repetition over a course of time that is over and over and over and over again of the same mantra.
And we do this. And, you know,
So
as
that's persistent.
yeah, and you know, it's also practice that we have done. I don't know how many lifetimes I've done that before. I can totally, for me, this is just like a refresher course because I've had so many lifetimes doing that as a God knows monk or whatever, you know. So, did you hear that? The river thingy. Persistent. Did you hear it?
I didn't. Sorry, I'm doing a juice cleanse, so I have to pee like every 25 minutes.
Okay, well, thanks for sharing.
She's going to repeat now for you.
A river cuts through a rock, not because of its power, but its persistence. So we were just saying this is perfect, and it comes out of the big jar, no, the little jar actually, the little jar of great ideas, of big ideas, and it's perfectly aligned with the course that we're all starting, or whoever is starting it. Fantastic. Good.
Yeah,
Jen,
Martina was
could you-
saying you should use that for the marketing for your
the course.
Korean class, KUJI
Yeah,
class.
I'll write that down.
Yeah, I'll write it for you.
Thank you.
Persistence, consistency, persistence.
Yeah, I'll send it to you later. So I'll keep it up there. So yeah, little jar of big ideas. I love those little things. There's so much work gone into this doing it. I'm like, oh,
Are they
it's so-
handwritten?
no, they're typed. But still, I have to typed like a typewriter sort of font. But look, the different colors, and I just love those colors. What does Melissa say?
I just read that somewhere like 2 days ago, and this past Sunday just did 108 repetitions on a mantra.
Marissa, you are absolutely aligned with us. Amazing.
I was going to say, Jen, could you tell them how many times you have to repeat the mantra to complete the mantra?
Yeah.
One mantra. How many thousands of times you have to repeat it in order to complete the cycle of the one mantra?
So each mantra you do 12 rounds of. And a round is 9 trips through the mala, which is 108 beads. So, like, I look at each tour being a sitting, right? So you would say that 972 times in one sitting, and then you would do 12 rounds of it. So each mantra you say 11,664 times.
Okay, let me read again.
You have to put that on your fridge, I tell you.
Through a rock, not because of its power, but its persistence.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Well, Martina, you going, you know the little thingy that is on your fridge with the 4 hours and something. You get to put there later on.
Marathon, yeah.
35,000 watt.
Yes. No, I'm quite intense. I can do this.
Yeah, you can.
For me, it's intensity, not persistence. Resilience. I like resilience. It's much better. Yeah. Oof. Fantastic. Okay, so that was my little jar of big ideas. That's all I got today.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I will have to leave you guys soon because I have to go into my other course.
So yeah, before you do that,
yes.
a little bit, how's it going? Is that still going for a long time, or you're almost done now?
This is going until June, so it's
okay.
a year. It's a year-long course. We are now we are now in the second milestone. They call it milestones.
Mm-hmm.
In which we are now more into group working. So the first milestone was a lot about meditation, how you, not meditation, about your own spiritual practice. That can be anything, you know. It can be that you get up in the morning and you make yourself a cup of tea. Perfect.
I like
you know?
that. Mm-hmm.
So it is how you are connecting spiritually, you for yourself. So the first milestone was a lot about that. And because it is a certified course, we need to write also essays. So it's a lot of self-reflection and essay writing in that. I mastered it very well. I'm very pleased with myself, and I'm very proud of myself that I did that. I found a new twist in it somehow as well for myself.
Good.
Now in milestone 2, we go into more of this, what they call the informal companionship or the informal spiritual coaching, where in smaller groups of the big groups, we are now a settled mini group in that group, where up to 4 people are discussing things, and where we are learning how to hold space, you know, open space without judgment, without fixing anything, without, you know, going into the therapeutic thing, but just listening to what the other is bringing forward and how that impacts on ourselves and how we are then also impacted by, you know, the others listening to us, or just not commenting on it, but maybe asking a question and then giving what is coming up for them, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So now we are in this modus of the coaching, and the third milestone, which will then lead us into the summer, which come after April, it will be the formal coaching, where we are probably going to be asked to be with, you know, outsiders and have a formal spiritual coaching session, in a sense. It's not about, you know, I sit there and then let's talk about God. No, not at all. It's more like this, really what you also sometimes as when people come to you with an issue. So it's like listening, holding the space without going into this pattern of I need to fix you now. You know, if somebody now, my friend with where the boy has the mental disability, the other day she came with an issue where she just wanted to have my friendly opinion on it, but I use it as a practicing course where I am not reacting immediately on what she's saying, but I'm holding the space, I'm waiting for her to finish, and then, you know, okay, I'm asking her, do you want my opinion or not, you know? So, or shall I just, you know, be there and supportive in a sense of what you want to, you know, this, where asking her a question where she then can go on, you know, thinking about stuff, or do you want my opinion, my personal opinion on it, and what would I do in your situation? That is something very interesting for me, as I'm not being therapeutically trained, you know, to actually look at it from that point of view. So yeah, it's really interesting, and I think these upcoming months it will be interesting to see my reaction to some of it, because there are some where I'm getting bored when they start talking, you know.
Yeah, no,
but you have to listen through it, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's a good exercise, honestly, and that's also one of those consistency thingies. And we are being asked every day to also sit for 20 minutes at least. You can call it meditation, you can call it whatever you want. It's just they calling it connecting spiritually, and yeah, you can do it whenever you want. It's just about to be 20 minutes. And then we have to fill out a little timesheet stating that I did my best, I half-heartedly, or I didn't do anything.
Yeah, no, I mean, those are little permission slips, isn't it?
Yeah.
To do your self-love journey, because that's what it is at the end of the day. But do you have to do any case studies or something? Because we're all
Probably.
we're all available.
Probably.
I'm
Yes.
offering myself out case study.
Yeah.
If
Thank
you
you.
want.
I need to, as I said, in this milestone, it's still more like this, the impact on ourselves, and probably 1 or 2 informal cases. But when it comes to the formal cases, I will probably need your help. Yeah. I might even already need some help, because during the next few weeks, each one of us is being asked to come up with an issue, telling it to the whole class so that we can do this informal companioning. And I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to do. For once, I'm like, I have nothing that I want to bring forward to you guys. Not yet. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
No, if you ever get stuck with anything, and that goes for everyone, of course, we always say that, you know where to find us. You know, we're just a message
Thank
away.
you. Yes, you are. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. But sounds good though. It's all part of that journey. And it's not an isolating journey, which is great as well. So you're working with people already, like-minded people, you know.
And I get a certificate, a validated certificate at the end, which is
that's the best part of it.
It's like
You can just tear it apart.
I know, no, but it's more like, you know, if ever I'm going to do a formal companionship, I can actually say I've been trained, you know. Absolutely. I've been certified, trained. I'm not like just making shit up in a sense.
No, absolutely. And also it depends on which country you live in, you know. I mean, some places you need a certificate, you know, just to say that you are. For me, I always said I just need a certificate to say that now I can do my own thing.
Well, this is what I'm going to do. No, honestly, this is what I'm going to use it for, because I have never done any master, but I did my diploma and that's about it. What I have as a certificate of that I did a university study, but have I been interested in doing another master, in following a PhD? Not at all. I couldn't care less. But here I find, because here you're dealing a little bit with the people. So it's, for me, it's like, okay, I can actually vouch that I have been trained in this. So it's not coming from...
No, and you have to, depending on, as I said, you know, all my bow and all, I don't know how many certificates I've got. I used to be a member of those, you know, you pay your yearly contribution or whatever those associations.
Yeah, the membership, yeah, the federations or whatever.
Because it was part of some people. Not that I had ever once anyone who asked me for the certificate,
sure.
You know, but you know, in the beginning, and you need that kind of thing, because in some countries you literally have to provide it in order to start practicing. Absolutely. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, you know. So fantastic. Good. Well done.
Thank you.
Good.
How long does your class go?
It's a year course, once a week. It's 2.5 hours. It's actually quite long. Especially even if you know, because it's UK time, so I'm now 1 hour later, and so it will go from my time 8 until 10:30.
That's a long time.
And between 10 and 10:30, they usually bring guests to talk about their journey. And I have to tell you, those are sometimes really tough to go through. So in a sense, I would prefer that we end on a meditation, you know, so at least I can, you know, switch off. But sometimes to then listen to those guests coming in, and sometimes it's interesting and other times it's like, okay, nothing new here. Can we move on, please? So that's why I need to practice my serious face of listening.
Yes. Oh, fantastic. Good. There's another thing before we might all just go. It's I was actually thinking, what about 5 rhythms?
I'm
gonna try to become a 5 rhythm teacher, if I do it or not.
Well, I'm still, believe it or not, for my spiritual practice, I have now currently gone back to 5 rhythms, because I feel that my sitting in meditation, I need to move. I can do meditation, but that is something else than the spiritual connection for me. Because if I'm doing the dancing, I feel much more connected, because my body is in movement. And when I did the 2 vivencias of the biodanza, these 2 days, and there are 2 days coming up, one in March and one in April, I'm really looking forward to that. And I actually also looked up to become a biodanza teacher, but that training is tough. That you need to do for 2 years, and you need to you need to give and do these practices like on and hours and hours. I think it's even longer than a yoga training, which is like, whoa.
Yeah.
I find that very interesting. So the 5 rhythms, unfortunately, around here, nobody knows about that.
Yeah, I think they do. I must look into it, but I think it's also it's not just like a couple of weeks. It's
No.
actually more than 2 years, if I remember correctly, because I did look into it once before.
Mm.
But and this is what all the courses that I've done, I never did them with the thought in mind that actually I'm gonna use them afterwards with people. Of course, I did every single thing I did, but I only did them for myself, because it was that sort of structure to keep you into. And it's always, okay, well, afterwards you have a certificate for what it's worth, but
Right.
you have the choice afterwards that you do it instead of just going and paying for classes afterwards. So yeah, let's see what comes up. It all sounds super exciting. Yeah.
Just stating that if you notice over the next few weeks that my voice is changing, I have one of the next side effects taking place, which is dry mouth, dry everything inside my head. So
okay, cool. Let's pot and pock that. Yeah, doesn't have to happen. And start the bowen, because that might help. And distance is on offer, as you know, as well. But you gotta have at least a week in between sessions. Yes. You want to go. How much did they charge you over there?
I have no idea yet.
Okay. We can always you do one physical
and one distance.
You do a distance, and then also you perceive the difference, which is quite nice. You tell me what you did, blah blah, and then you go back and do. But I would actually really suggest you carry on doing that throughout the healing process, because it's not going to interfere at all. It's just going to really speed up the healing process.
No, I notice already
more shit, but
yeah, which is fine. I notice already that my physio, because we are and I will probably also continue going to my physio, which will be taken care of by the insurance, because the Bowen won't. So
ask. Bowen is already at this stage. Did you check? Because some Bowen practitioners have no. Okay.
So because my physio, I connected very well with her, and she's really good. I like her, in the sense that when I come with something, the first thing she always asks me is like, how do you feel today? Yeah. And I like that, because then I can say, look, it's aching here, it's aching there. I had a little bit of a back problem. She's like, okay, I'm just going to work a little bit on your arm, because that's still where she is being paid to do the job, right? And then she actually also looked at my back, and she helped me with that. So the other day I came, I have, the whole cold, and she just looked at my head, she moved my head around a little bit. And the other day I had a funky stomach, and she looked at the stomach, and I really appreciate her work. So I will continue, because that is the one that is also being taken in charge by the insurance, and the Bowen isn't, because that's
but it's get all the support you can. And also with Bowen, there's another thing with Bowen, and that's why I always love that as well, from a clue perspective. You might come in and say you got a shoulder problem, and she might be working on your knee or your toe, because everything is connected. And sometimes, when you have I don't know, TMJ work done, all of a sudden it can happen that your coccyx starts getting painful, and that I love that.
Oh yeah,
you never know what shows up, and it's like, oh, how is this all connected? It's just amazing. Cool.
Which is actually what happened the other day with the physio, when she was working on my back. I just thought it was one of my vertebrae that tends to dislodge itself. And as soon as she was touching it, I had such a feeling in my gut. Everything just did this in the gut, and I'm like, whoa, what was that?
I would also look into the vagus nerve. Yeah, because the vagus nerve is running all the way from the back of the I don't know, the occiput, I think, all the way down along the spine, and then obviously into the organs. So vagus nerve work. You can ask the Bowen practitioner if she knows anything about that too. Some Bowen practitioners do a lot of work on the vagus nerve. And you can also do, I've got a vagus nerve meditation on my very old, well, not very old, but on my synchronistic.co.uk, which I did at the time for all sorts of stuff. Vagus nerve is super, super powerful when you can work on that. Yeah. So much to do.
Consistency, persistence, daily practice.
Daily.
But then you got to mix it up so you're not predictable.
Well, that's it. Yeah. No predictability. Very important.
To tell that to my dad.
Well, that's why he's in your life, so that you can show him how not to do it. What's he gonna do? I'm just not showing up for your coffee at 7 in the morning. That's it.
Well, that for example.
Live with it. Because it comes 7 o'clock and now it's like 7 o'clock here and it's like 8 o'clock there, right? And I'm like, okay, I see. The light goes on. Instagram, she's having her coffee already.
I switched things up. So because the coffee is really just like 15 minutes and then I just, I vanish.
But you know how so much gratitude for having a dad who wants to have coffee with you.
I know. Which is why honestly in the morning I honor that. I really appreciate it. And every Sunday morning he also makes me a couple of soft-boiled eggs. So
sweetie.
you see? So I'm not complaining.
No, I know. Amazing.
Well, and that's it, having the gratitude for those things in our life, right? And the people in our lives who make our life better, who support us in little ways like that, like making you a cup of coffee, making you some eggs, right? Helping to clean up, helping to, care for things, care for you. I appreciate very much those people in my life. And I've been very fortunate, to have a great family where everybody gets along.
Yeah, that's good. That's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the pets, of course, the animals.
Yeah, that is what is missing in this house. I mean, in all of our houses, but we all know that we cannot have any more pets because of, what is going on. So, but this is still this is a big, big void. And I know that my dad is still depressed and his dog died now, 8 years ago, but no, he's still not over it.
But you got nature very close to you, right? And
our birds outside are the best fed birds in the whole area. Okay, they even got bio sunflower, seeds this year because I didn't find any more seeds for them. So and I'm not buying bullshit. They get, and they wait every morning at 8:30 outside. They're like, could you please fill up that feeder? It's empty.
Persistence, right? What's with the river thing? Yeah.
Yep.
All these teachers out there.
We were sleeping last night, middle of the night. I don't know, like 4 a.m. or something. Sometimes our dog Kiki comes up on the bed and gets right between us. And it's been chilly, it's been getting down into the 40s at night, the low 40s. So, I think she gets a little chilly and then comes up on the bed. And so we're all asleep. And all of a sudden I hear this, ooh, ooh. And Bill wakes up. I wake up and I knew it was Kiki. And he thought it was me. He's like, what? Are you talking in your sleep? Like, no, it was the dog. And I could tell that she was trying to howl, that she was trying to howl in her sleep, but it came out like a human saying, ooh, ooh.
So she was dreaming.
She was dreaming.
Okay.
Yeah, dreaming about howling. Oh.
They're turning more into humans, isn't it?
Yeah, we were laughing about that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. My cat, I mean, he snores so much. It could be Paul lying next to me. It's like, for God's sake,
He needs a little tiny CPAP machine.
What's that?
CPAP? A CPAP machine is a
That's for snoring.
like it's a mask that you put over your nose
Gotta
if you have
put
sleep
him on a
apnea.
grab, then I have to
Yeah,
go.
yeah. I'm just teasing, of course. Yeah.
And
Just imagine one for a cat.
amazing. Okay, my darlings. Well, we're gonna let you go, and we're gonna go. Is there anything else that we need to discuss? Okay, we covered what we needed to cover for today. Then what we're gonna do is recording goes out. Jen, do me a favor, send me your stuff on Messenger because I'm lazy. And then fine. And then I just pop it on and it goes out, and then we'll take it from there.
Right. Have a great week.
Have a
You
great
too,
week,
guys.
as always.
Love you.
And we see you next week. Yeah.
We do.
Bye. Bye.